Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Second Age. I think this is episode 3, where today we have some quite interesting scoops around the Rings of Power. And since the last episode, we have in fact revealed what is my background. And this could potentially come into play today when we speculate around one of the scoops. But joining me, as usual, we have Hen.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Harry. Hi,
Straight
everybody.
out of Erebor. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who
Then-
says Sparking is the only one who can like dwarves?
that is true. And then straight out of this world, we have Strider.
Yeah, hello. Just wandering around.
Great to have you. And finally, straight out of a Penguin rom-com, we have Pimpastic Penguin. Hello there. Great to have you. I think you're muted, but I think, do you want to give us another hello?
No, I do not.
Fair enough. Snarky as always. So, boys and girls, whatever you identify as, what we're going to be discussing today, we got 3 different scoops, and I think they're all pretty well. The first 2 are mainly Numenor related, and we did beforehand say this is technically a canon character. You can say it is, but at the same time, it's not a named character, so it's quite hard to categorize it. So just in between, and that can be quite confusing. But I believe, Penguin, you are going to be clearing away that confusion by reading out the first scoop, actually.
The first scoop is actor William Chubb will play the High Priest of Numenor in season 2 of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power.
There we go. So now, do you think finally we'll actually start getting interested in Numenor beyond just the White Tree withering? And we finally going to see some actual, I know, Hen, you like this political drama there, and maybe...
I like the idea of it, yes.
And talking about, of course, how this could fit in potentially within the canon, we knew in Numenor there were, we know at least 3 of the Nazgul were these high lords of men, and maybe one of them even, I think you could say, could have been a conjurer, but yeah, and we also know that by the time of Sauron worshipping began once Sauron arrived in Numenor, but there was the underpinnings beforehand, and now, because this is a compressed timeline, maybe it is starting soon. So Strider asks, take it away to you first. What do you think?
Yeah, well, as you said, at least three of the Nazgul were Numenorians, and since all the Nazgul were high in political or whatever structure of men, it could make sense that this high priest could end up being one of the Nazgul. But at the very least, if we are getting introduced a high priest of Numenor, which we should, he will probably play a pretty big role, because religion will be a very important thing in Numenor in the next few seasons when Sauron arrives there, especially. So it's going to be interesting, whether this character will end up being a good guy or a bad guy or a gray guy. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. We need to, as Han said, I also like the idea of the political tensions in Numenor, but we'll see how that will play out. But it's cool that we're getting that, hopefully as soon as possible in season 2, because there's a lot of ground to cover.
Fair enough. And Penguin, I'll extend that to you. Do you think this is potentially quite something to look forward to and quite exciting?
Kind of the muddled. I felt that the Numenor setting in episode 1 was just kind of muddled. The pacing was plodding. It just wasn't very interesting to me. And I think, well, now you run by adding more to it, unless you're taking it away elsewhere. We'll just have to see. I'm kind of interested in it in an academic sense, but not really excited about it. This could either be, just thinking, okay, High Priest of Numenor, is this involved in the traditional sense, reverence of the Valar, or is this going to be in the newfangled Morgoth cult? If so, they're really moving at warp speed to get to that point. And secondly, then of course there's from lore perspective, Sauron was the high priest in Numenor, or as far as the Valar were concerned, the high priest was the ruling king and queen. So, I mean, we'll see. Maybe he is a priest, but not the high priest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
Ken, when do you see Numenor falling throughout this show?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it will take a while, just because we've gone through the creations of the ring seemingly quite quickly. So I don't know, season 4 maybe, end of season 3. I don't know.
For me, I think end of season 3 isn't a bad bet. So if that's happening, then do you think it would make sense or not to start maybe the potential build up to that decline from around the start of season 2 with this?
I think yes. I think in a way it's already building since we see Numenor in season 1, but I think yes, because I think the showrunners looked at the events of the Second Age and said, well, the really splashy event is the downfall of Numenor, and then the other one, yeah, I know it makes a nice pun, but the idea is that like, aha, this is like the big event, and the other one is the Last Alliance because people know it from the prologue to the Fellowship of the Ring. So we need to make more room for those two at the expense of all the Celebrimbor stuff at the beginning. Which, is a shame, but in a way at least. But I think that's kind of their mindset. It's why some of these events are front loaded on the first season, seemingly on the second as well, to give more time later on to Numenor.
I think the bet that it could happen at the end of season 3. I stand by what I've been saying since the show started, that they're not going to have enough time to do justice to all of this. I mean, Han basically just said this in a more detailed way. See, at the end of season 3 or end of season 4, it's hard to judge like what they're going to do. But I think it's interesting to have. It would be interesting to have a priest type character that would be one of the kind of main characters that we could maybe see the downfall of religion through the eyes of this person as well, not just through Pharazôn and.
Well, how important is this character going to be?
That's the question.
Think about the leader, Arondir's boss. I mean, he was in one episode, then he was another episode, and I think he got killed. I think we saw him in 2 episodes, and he got killed in the second one. So he may not even be that important of a character. He could have some line.
I agree.
Yeah.
One thing I would say to that is that this William Chubb, he was announced in the main season 2 cast announcement, not in the recurring one. So of course, you still could be a sense, but that could at least show that might end up being a more prolific character in this season.
But it's like there's one of the hobbits.
But she wasn't in the main one for season 2. I think I know whose thing you're on about. But here, this is the first round of cast of season 2, and he was in it. And that was more of the I say between a recurring and one of the main, the more regular characters in between the two is how I would look at it. So, yeah, but it could end up being that, but we'll have to wait to see. It depends again how much time we get.
Well, then something else to consider is someone like Waldrig was not given, top billing listed as one of the main characters, but he was always around and had a pretty pivotal role, whereas Emma Harvath was listed as one of the important mains. And
absolutely, yes,
you can often forget she's in the show because whatever her subplots were just trimmed down. When we finally saw her, I think in episode 7 or episode 8, sketching out the King of Numenor, I thought, wait, oh yeah, that's right, she's in this show, huh?
Talking about
that's absolutely right.
Do you think that this could be connected to her character in any way, or with the whole Pharazôn thing? Because we know she is on the side against Elendil, against her family, and if this priest isn't, that is more on against the Valar worshipping stuff like that, then maybe she could align herself with him or something like that. Maybe that could get her more into the plot, because everybody have been speculating that one of the things around Yardin is that maybe she might end up being the person who actually is the architect for the Sauron worshipping or the temple in Numenor. And if, of course, this high priest is related, anything like that, that could be a good way to bring her in.
I mean, it's whatever side the high priest is on. I think he's obviously going to interact with all the key people in Numenor, just by virtue of the title.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But could it be more with Iada? Maybe this could finally help her character get in, is the interesting thing. But firstly, Hen, you might even have a name for this. And do you want to go into the next one?
Yes. There is a Numenorian character called Lord Belzagar in season 2, and it's unconfirmed whether this is the same high priest character that William Chob is playing, but it is a possibility.
Mm-hmm. So just to make it in a simple way as possible, we know of a character called Lord Belzagar, but we don't know the actor. But it could potentially be this character, the high priest that William Chubb is playing, but we don't have that confirmed. But so it could either be Lord Belzagar is this priest, or there's a separate priest character and Lord Belzagar separate. So that could be the difference between the two. So first of all, this is quite interesting. I know we spoke about this bit beforehand, Stride, around the name of this character.
Yeah, well, the thing with the name is that it's Adunaik, which is, and using the Adunaik names was something that the King's Men did. So whoever this guy is, it's quite likely that this guy is going to be on the side of the King's Men, and thus on the quote unquote evil side. So yeah, and I try to look for the meanings. So it could mean, there's like several theories. This is actually one of the names that aren't clear on the meaning, but there's like few speculations that it could mean sword. There's the main one is that it could mean the sword of light, and that sounds cool. So
and could that be again light and religion and everything? If it is, could that be another potential hint that if that is, this is the same character? And also we know that it is the name of the 18th Numenorian king was called Belzagar, I believe. So that's another thing. So they are renaming it after a previous character. And I think, Hen, as you mentioned before, this could just be, a typical, same, just renaming character before to make fans happy, or there could be a more deeper meaning. What do you think?
I don't know that it's necessarily to make fans happy. It's just that something that you do when, the names are there, and the characters that bear that name are not going to come to bear on the story that you're telling, but you might as well use those names to at least have that Tolkien sound in there. It's like Halas, son of Hama in Helm's Deep, or it's like Imrahil earlier on in the first season. It's like, the names are there, you may as well use them.
So yeah, could it either be that, or could this name have more meaning to the character?
I've got to agree with Hen here. It's just taking existing names and repurposing them. And for what it's worth, it's not unusual to just read through the appendices and realize, oh, the guy we know as Boromir was probably the second or third Boromir in Gondor's important Boromir in Gondor's history. Look at you Europeans and your royals. You've got so many kings and queens using the same name as their ancestors and predecessors. So
England had two King Edwards in a row.
Yeah. All I would say to that,
Durin, son of Durin, in this,
all I would say to that, this person is not a king or queen or person in the monarchy. This is a separate. So maybe it could be that maybe the father of this Lord Belzagar named him after, who I think Belzagar, the 18th king, was I think Kingsman was against Avalon. That's when it started to ramp up in Numenor, and named it, in homage after his name. I know for example, Cristiano Ronaldo and the football player, his dad named him after Ronald Reagan. Reagan, I think the president, because that was his favorite person, Ronaldo's dad, and that's why it's called Ronaldo. It could be something maybe like that. Then if it is,
or just a common name in that language,
Yeah.
like
it could be either one,
Harry.
so
Yeah,
there's
but I
multiple
think it
possibilities.
can. I think it should mean something because again, it's an Adonaic naming system. So I think it's quite possible that this person, like, I think that's why they would call him Belzagar instead of something else, because it could be a subtle hint towards his allegiances. Like, I think it wouldn't necessarily be just like a random name, you know. Like,
and if I can chime in real fast with a note,
the Adonaic name too.
If I can chime in with a note for the non-nerds out there, if you're, Numenor, traditionally they used Elvish names for themselves, and then once they started to dislike the elves, they started to use more of their native Mannish language, and then by the late Second Age, most of them were exclusively using their native man language, Adonaic, and only the few remaining people who liked the elves were using Elvish names, and they were probably doing that in secret.
Yeah, and the names that we do have in the show have been Elvish until this point, and they sound very different from the Adonaic names.
Yeah, and interestingly, Farazon, I think was it Miriam who even mentioned how my granddad's granddad or something, so 6 generations back. So somehow, despite being a condensed timeline, they are somehow still trying to follow or work out the ways the Numenorian, like the king lineage, is working. And I think that the shift in Numenor began after around Tarminaster's rule. So I think that was the 12th king. So after that, that's happened. I think then if our Belzagar was 18th, then maybe that could be. But again, it could either be, as Hen and Penguin are saying, just a simple thing, common name, as you saw with like Imrahil, or it could be, as Strider potentially saying, something that could mean potentially something more. But finally, while we're on this, let's discuss the potential. Okay, these characters are not related. Lord Belzagar is a separate character. Then how do you fit this, again, a new character, a lord, into the show? Does anybody have any ideas?
Well, he could.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So he could be perhaps one of the closer, like the inner circle of Farazon. He could be perhaps the person that may be, pure speculation. I'm basing this off of the fact that this is the Adonaic name, so I'm counting this guy as maybe the evil type of guy, like the opposite side of the conflict. So he could be part of the inner circle and perhaps be the person that maybe will, help Farazon go down the dark side path, perhaps. I think he could play like that type of support character that just pulls into this specific direction. But again, this is pure speculation based on the name. That's it.
And I think the way you use this guy is he has a few speaking lines, and he's just shown to be either in the ruling council of Numenor or, as you mentioned, the council of Farazon. One of the things that stood out to me, which I don't care for, is how when you had these important meetings with Queen Mariel where it looks like things were being decided on, the only people you saw in that meeting was Farazon, and there weren't even just paying lip service to the idea of other key nobles chiming in on that, whether they speak or not. Like at the Council of Elrond and Fellowship of the Ring, yeah, sure, we all know that Boromir, Aragorn, who spoke, but they had a bunch of other people just sitting there looking very thoughtful and intense as they pondered what to do here. We never saw that. The only people in these meetings were Mariel, Farazon, and Galadriel, and what's his face? Halbrand, Sauron.
Halbrand is not really.
Elendil was also there.
I liked how when the dwarves were trying to decide, should we give this Mithril to the elves? There were a couple of other, dwarven leaders there who were engaged in the debate and actually playing part in it. If their only role was just to show that Elrond could understand that.
And
that's
one thing that I don't want to say as potentially a trope, but I do see it quite a lot, where you have a king, and then maybe the new king coming in, passing then at this beginning of like the next season, then you suddenly have this new figure that comes in and potentially has sway over the king or queen. I know, like stuff like that. For example, in Game of Thrones, I think Stride, I think you're the one who's watched it. I think by season 5, I remember that. I think when Cersei was queen, they had that religious sect. I forgot, but they came in control for a bit and swayed the queen's opinion. It was either that or the king before.
Yeah, the High Sparrow.
Yeah, High Sparrow. You have that. Maybe this could be a similar thing to that. I know, for example, in like in random like fantasy TV shows like Merlin, you have like, oh yeah, one season. The next season, there's this new figure that's coming that's now or has sway or somehow has the ear of the king. Maybe this lord does have the ear of the king, and if is related to is the same character as the High Priest of Numenor, then it could be similar to that as well, where now we have the religious hearing, and this could sway maybe either Phares or Nomiriel. So it'll be interesting. But I think we've had a pretty good discussion around that now. So I believe.
Yeah, but maybe just we didn't comment actually on the actor. Though the question is like this. I don't think I've seen. I think I actually checked his IMDb. William Chubb. I think he was in Sandman and some other places. So, but I think the things that I saw from him were like some smaller roles. So I don't really have a grasp of it. But by the looks of it, I think he could do like he could definitely pull off like a High Priest of Numenor.
Fair enough. That's good. Yep.
So you did do your homework then.
Yeah.
I managed just before the class.
Cool. Good. Always love to hear that. So, talking about Strider, you want the third one?
Yeah, let's go. So, the last scoop of the day is a new location in the Rings of Power Season 2 is Teleperian Bay. It is unconfirmed whether this location is on Numenor or in Middle-earth.
If I were to place a bet, I'd say Numenor.
Yeah,
I'd take that bet as well. Yeah.
Yeah, strongly agree.
Yep, either. But then, just to play devil's advocate, because I do believe there could be a chance that this is most likely Numenor. But if it is Middle-earth, could it potentially be what is in my background? This picture, the place to take pictures of. This could still be in Numenor, but I can't really see it. And this, of course, right now this could be most likely Pelage, but if there's a chance it is Teleperian Bay, then there could be something quite interesting there. But who wants to go through the reason why this is probably Numenor, and even the significance of the name Teleperian?
All right, I'll go. Teleperian is the ruling name of the second ruling queen of Numenor.
And it's basically, so Teleperian is the female form of Telperion. So the en and the on is like the two suffixes. So yeah, the theory, which of course is pretty logical, is that she was named after the tree Telperion that was destroyed by Morgoth. So one of the two trees of Valinor. So it would make sense. And also, actually, what makes this even more important is that from that tree, there was a tree called Galathilion that was made in a city close to Valinor called Tuna. And from that
tree...
Are you
making me hungry?
From that tree comes the white tree of Numenor called the Nimloth. We saw it, of course, in the season. It played a pretty big role. And from that tree comes the white tree of Gondor. So, yeah, like the connection with Telperion, one of those two main trees, two big trees of Valinor, is pretty clear. So, and given the fact that it's Teleperian Bay, of which Numenor has quite a few, it's like 99.99% likely that this is indeed for those reasons in Numenor.
Well, now that's a lore dump and no mistake.
Anybody else want to go?
I think this is just going to be a nice little callback to taking that existing name, repurposing it, because other than there's not a whole lot of places in Numenor that have precise name. So I think, hey, let's just take this existing name, lift it, and make the world sound deeper. And I'm not sure how much more impactful it's going to be than that.
Do we all think that there's a possibility? I certainly think that that's just a name for the bay that sits in Menelaus. You know, the bay that the ships go into, that bay. I think it could be.
Well, the thing
be.
I'd say to that is that
And that it's not named in season 1, but that it will be named in dialogue somewhere in season 2. I think that's very possible.
that could be one possibility. Another possibility I was thinking is that if it's not in Numenor and instead in Middle-earth, then could it, when it says bay, it seems like it's like a docked area. Maybe this could be something down the Gothlo. That could be one thing, another possibility, or even maybe
Gothlo.
River Gothlo, so it's a bay on the Gothlo, if on the old Numenorian outposts that were set up maybe during the reign of Teleperian. So that could be one possibility, or it could be further down south near Pelage, and could be another place. You know, another it could literally just be one of the old places that that maybe that Isildur might find in his way. Could be another place, and that could receive a nice homage. Oh, this was Teleperian Bay, because we did know the Numenorians did, according to the show, used to go to Middle Earth. So that's just the only argument I put up, just for it could be somewhere in Middle Earth as a possibility.
Yeah, it's a
possibility. I guess it would have to be Pelagir or somewhere, somewhere in that area if it's in Middle Earth.
Yeah,
I agree. I doubt that the season will have Pelagir as an all Numenorian fort. Then we'll have what Harry is mentioning, which is basically Londare. You know, like if they were going, like, you know, they're not going to have 2 abandoned Numenorian outposts, are they?
Hey, we can have 2 Durns at the same time, so why not 2 forts?
Yeah, well, you know, they're both on screen. It's at the same time. It's different.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could have had it if there was more time in the show to let this story develop and like to really go into depth with colonization. I think we could have, but sadly, I think we're not going to see Londare.
For the
maybe it will be name dropped, but.
Yep. Yeah, maybe name drop though. That's right. Yeah, because they do name drop things that don't really appear. They do that a lot actually. So
well, it's what you do just to give the window dressing of a deeper setting. I mean, it's well.
Yeah.
And one final thing that I'd add as speculation is that if we don't know whether or not Anarion is in the 2nd season or not, but if
hello
say hi.
Hi.
And I was saying whether or not, because if we know Anarion is on the western shore, so maybe if this bay is on the western shore, but then maybe that's where Anarion is, but then at the same time already have a bay that would be so far on the other side of the island. But that could be another possibility because we still don't know the whereabouts of Anarion.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I think if I had to make the bet, I would actually say it's on the western side, and it's probably where Anarion is.
Right.
I'm like speculation, absolutely, but if I had to make a bet, I would say it's that.
I'll take that bet. It's on the East Coast.
East Coast.
West Coast, but yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm very interested in what's going on the West Coast. Like, what is it? Like, it's a hippie commune. What is it?
Maybe Anarion just living life there, you know, away from all the plot, and maybe it's not a bad thing not being in the Rings of Power season 1. He's just having all the fun in the world on the other side of the Numenor.
Yeah, like what is it? It's a Numenorian hippie commune. Like, what's going on over there? Are they like surfing?
Actually, I think Anarion will probably have, you know, how Isildur is searching for, you know, his goal in life, purpose in life. I think we'll have. I think they will contradict, oppose that to Anarion, who already has his goal set. Because I mean, he looks like he did leave his family and the capital because he is on the side of the staying faithful to the elves and to the Valar. So I think it's going to be interesting to contrast that with Isildur.
I'm just saying, if this Western area is, really in line with Anarion's beliefs, which is that, it's all going to be about, supporting the Valar wanting to go to Middle Earth and all this stuff. So maybe it's a faithful area. Then maybe this is where Mr. What's his name? William Chubb's character, the High Priest of Numenor, might be, potentially. And if it's, of course, then I know the High Priest it sounds like you'd have to be in the capital, but then maybe that's where, let's play with the potential that we're getting a whole new, that everything in today's video is just for a whole new location on the other side of Numenor. That would be quite interesting. But
that would be fun, yeah. We need to see more of everything. We need way more locations. We need more people in the background, more of those background characters. We need all of that just to feel the grandeur of the world, which we often did not feel in the first season.
If we see more of the world, they need to express the size of the world, because that was just one of the flaws. They made everything feel so small, both with cinematography. Things were either in narrow streets and rooms, or we had massive city shots, but nothing between.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, say, again, comparing this to Lord of the Rings, the movies, when they were in Rivendell, whether they were in Edoras, whether they're in Minas Tirith, wherever the shop was, you got a sense that if the camera would zoom out, you would know exactly where they were in the city. And sometimes they would use that. They would zoom in on a particular part of the city, and then Gandalf's on a bench. Or I never felt that way in Numenor, Eregion, anything like that.
Absolutely.
And to say nothing about how people could instantly teleport across Middle Earth. But
I think there were a few, of course, there were a few shots in Numenor, when they're walking the streets and when Elendil catches Galadriel and so on. But I absolutely agree that's that middle shot we really, really, really missed, because it's either the massive, the big shot, or as I said, a room or a hallway or something.
Or just and then when they're moving express travel, I'm thinking of Gandalf and Pippin going to Minas Tirith. You have multiple shots of them riding, sometimes in the day, sometimes at night.
Or switching day and
but you
night.
see Pippin starting to fall asleep while riding. You get the sense that they've been going for a little while. Oh, here people just say I'm going somewhere, and then they appear where they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I did
true,
mention that in my successes and failures video that you can also check out. So thank you for the plug there, Penguin. I think we've pretty much gone nearly 40 minutes, which is does anybody have any final thoughts?
Nope. Just looking forward to seeing more of Numenor.
Yep. Also,
hopefully with those middle shots.
I forgot to say this last week as well. Of course, Lakitia will also be back in the next episode. So excited. I know you guys have been missing her. So excited to have her back as well. It's another, and maybe we'll still see another penguin in the future as well. What's the update on you?
We'll see.
We'll see. There we go. That is
availability.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. I think it's been quite interesting and actually we've discussed quite a lot today. So I think thank you everyone here. Thank you, Hen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Strider, and thank you, Penguin.
Appreciate it.
And until the next one, my friends, goodbye.